Welcome to the Empty Nest Era, the podcast that helps you navigate life after the kids leave home. I'm Jamie Chin, licensed marriage and family therapist and mom to two amazing daughters in their 20s, and I'm here to walk alongside you as you rediscover yourself, reconnect with your partner, and redefine your relationship with your adult children. Let's begin this next chapter together. Welcome back, my empty nesters. Today's episode is called Embracing the Empty Nest. It's a time of life that many of us reach, often sooner than expected, and it carries mixed emotions, loss, freedom, identity shifts, but also opportunity. Over this episode, we'll talk about what the research tells us about the empty nest transition, what feelings are normal, and most importantly, practical steps you can take to embrace this stage with intention and, dare I say it, even joy. Let's start by grounding ourselves in what studies and experts have found about the empty nest period, the challenges and the benefits. A 2024 panel study found that for many parents, transitioning into the empty nest does not significantly lower overall life satisfaction. Another study called Empty Nest Status, Marital Closeness, and Perceived Health showed that empty nest status can buffer some negative impacts from marital quality issues on health. In other words, when children leave, some couples report better health outcomes or lower stress if they're able to adjust well. There's also strong evidence of improved marital satisfaction for many after the kids leave home. Freed from constant demands, there's more flexibility in scheduling, more couple time, maybe even more spontaneity. Think about it. You're no longer arguing about discipline issues, who's giving the kids baths, or who's staying home from their job with the sick child. But on the flip side, this time period is often accompanied by emotional turbulence, grief, nostalgia, identity loss feelings, guilt. Now, it's not bad if you feel all of that. In fact, it's pretty much universal. So the science shows that this is a major life transition. It can bring both loss and growth. The way we handle it can make a big difference. Before we dive into what to do, let's acknowledge what you might feel. Sometimes simply naming the emotions can help lessen their weight. To start, there's grief and nostalgia. You might find yourself remembering daily routines, the hustle and bustle, milestones, old conversations, missing what you had before. It's natural. You might also experience identity confusion. Who am I now when I'm not the chauffeur, the daily scheduler, the one who always has to be on? Roles shift. There may be mixed pride and worry. Pride for what your child is doing, but worry, like, are they okay? Are they safely tucked in tonight? Do they need you? Or did you do enough? You could also have both relief and unexpected freedom. Some parents feel liberated from routines, schedules, needing to always respond, constant multitasking. This can be a relief. And it's okay if you feel that way. Finally, from an emotional perspective, you might have anxiety about relationships. This could be with your partner, if you have one, with friends, with your adult children. Patterns change, boundaries change. Knowing that many people go through these emotions helps. You are not alone, and your feelings are valid. Now, let's shift into the positive side. Here are some of the gifts that this stage can bring. More time and energy for self-rediscovery. Things like hobbies you set aside and interests you never had time for. There can be improved marital or partner relationships. There's more space to reconnect without children being the center of everything. There could be greater intimacy and more freedom. There can be better health outcomes in many cases. Less stress from overcommitment and more time to focus on your own well-being. You might now have more flexibility in daily life. Scheduling, travel, routines now reflect your own preferences. And finally, there might be renewed connection with adult children, often at a different, maybe more mutually respectful level. Some studies suggest that over time, parent-child relationships improve once the child is out of the home. And as a mental health therapist who works at a community college, I see a ton of your kids, primarily ages 18 through 23, and we have a lot of discussions about, I call them kids, of course, kids who might still be at home or who recently be out of the home. And one of the things that we discover is that once you get a little space from each other, your relationship almost always greatly improves. Even if there was a lot of tension in the house or you kind of had that, butting heads relationship with one of your kids, once they move out, people just have more space to breathe, and it usually makes us so much happier to come together and reconnect. So keep that in mind, that your child moving out of the house does not have to be the worst thing. Now, let's get to the practical part. What can you do today, this week, this month, and over the next year to embrace the empty nest with intention? Okay, these first three are going to be short-term or immediate actions you can take. All right, 1, you can acknowledge and name your feelings. Journal, talk with a friend, or reflect silently. It helps to say, I feel lonely, I feel lost, I feel free, whatever it is. You can also let yourself grieve what has changed. Grief just means something has shifted. All right, 2, you can define new routines or rituals. Maybe it's a Sunday morning walk, a weekly coffee with a friend, or regular date nights. Small rituals help anchor the new normal. You can also establish check-in times with your children so that you can stay connected without feeling like you're hovering. Use technology if needed. I know with my youngest, we had agreed to Sunday check-ins, and we just knew to expect that. It wasn't too rigid. We just knew at some point on a Sunday, usually at her choosing when it was good for her, we would have a phone call and catch up on the previous week. 3, you can explore old interests or try new ones. Make a list of things you used to enjoy but shelved. You can also take a class, join a club, volunteer. Even small things like reading, gardening, cooking new recipes, they help keep our minds and bodies engaged. Now, these next 3 things you can do, we would call medium-term steps, meaning over several months. So 4, reevaluate personal goals. What have you wanted to do but couldn't because of the demands of parenting? Maybe travel, maybe training for something, maybe a creative project. You can also set some goals. Some big, some small, but they should be goals that excite you. Make them realistic. Number 5, in our medium term steps you can take. Again, meaning over several months. 5, you can reconnect with your partner or invest in relationships. If you have a partner, talk about expectations. Roles might have shifted, such as chores, finances, or time together. Open communication can help with this. Reach out to friends you haven't seen in a while, or make new friends. Shared interests can help create community. 6, you can focus on physical and mental well-being. Exercise, sleep, healthy eating. Take care of the body partly eases emotional distress. I know that over the past year, I have been on my own health journey of trying to lose some weight, and it's been a real challenge. I'm about 20 pounds down, but I've stalled out the last several months. So it's still a journey for me. And so I'm in this area of trying to stay motivated so that I can live as long as I can, so I can be there for my kids, my grandchildren, and my partner. Now, these final 2 suggestions are actionable steps for long-term mindset shifts, okay? So 7, this is a mindset shift. See this as a chapter, not an ending. It's natural to feel like something has ended, but also view this as a chance for new beginnings. Embrace that roles shift, but relationships continue. Your relationship with your children evolves, which can be rich in new ways. Finally, number 8, cultivate resilience through planning and flexibility. Some things won't go how you expect. Maybe visits home change. Maybe communication lags. Be ready to adapt. You also need to plan for these transitions that concern holidays, birthdays, so you aren't caught off guard by what feels like it's missing because it is no longer the same as it used to be. And this will really happen a lot if they are off to college or no longer live locally. You guys may not be together for some of the main holidays. I experienced this with my youngest daughter because of her school schedule. She's going to college out of state, and it just didn't work out for her to come home for Thanksgiving. Easter, her spring break never aligned with Easter. So it was just one of those things where, we've been missing her on those holidays, and it's lousy, but we've had to adapt to that. Or it might be a situation where your child, is far off and they get invited by a local friend to go to their parents for, say, Thanksgiving, right? We just really have to learn that sometimes we won't always get to celebrate that holiday anymore on the exact date. So what can we do to compensate for that? So we need to be really flexible in how we approach this with our child, and we don't want to make them feel guilty for something that is happening and for a feeling that it's really on us to manage. So let's do a quick recap of actionable steps. You can acknowledge and name your feelings, define new routines or rituals, explore old interests or build new ones, reevaluate personal goals, reconnect with your partner or invest in relationships, focus on physical and mental well-being, see this as a chapter, not an ending, and you can cultivate resilience through planning and flexibility. Okay, to make embracing this time easier, it helps to be aware of pitfalls so you can avoid them or handle them more gently. All right, one thing to watch out for is comparing yourself to others. So-and-so's kids moved out and they seem fine. Or they have this vacation schedule that's amazing. Or Carol says Jenny comes home for Sunday dinner every single week. Remember, everyone's journey is different, and comparison really is the thief of joy. So don't do it. Another pitfall to watch out for is hopeless nostalgia. Romanticizing the past so much it prevents enjoyment of now. That's what that is, right? If we romanticize and keep thinking about how great everything was, well, one, we know it's not really always so great, right? But that's how we tend to want to remember things. That's just going to make it very hard for you to move forward. Now, it's okay to have fond memories, of course, but we don't want to live in the past. Another thing to watch out for is isolating yourself, pulling back from friends or avoiding social opportunities because life feels different now. And a lot of times our instinct when we are hurting in some way is to withdraw and to isolate. And that's actually the worst thing you can do when you're feeling like this. I know it's hard, but we always encourage people to work to push through that resistance a little bit and get out there and go do something. Go connect with an old friend. Work on making new friends. Put yourself out there. Be social. The last thing to be aware of is a potential pitfall is what we call stagnation. Letting days go by without purpose or growth because you're waiting for, quote unquote, things to feel normal again. Here's the truth. Things will never feel the same. So give yourself time to adjust to your new normal. To make all these concepts more concrete, I wanted to give you a few examples of people who were able to embrace the empty nest. Short story 1 is about rediscovering creativity. When her youngest left for college, Linda, a mother of 3, was hit hard by the silence of her home. She described walking past her daughter's empty bedroom and feeling a pang of grief every single morning. For weeks, she wandered aimlessly through her days, unsure what to do without the constant hum of family life. One afternoon, she was cleaning out the garage, and she found her old box of painting supplies. Brushes, half-used canvases, and paints that had dried up years ago. She remembered how much she loved painting before her kids were born. Slowly, she picked it back up. She started with small watercolor sketches, then she signed up for a local community art class. What began as a way to fill time turned into a passion. Within months, she made new friends at the art studio. She began showing her work at local fairs and even sold a few pieces online. She admitted that she still misses the chaos of family life, but painting gave her a sense of identity again, something that was hers alone. Good for you, Linda. All right, on to story 2. Which is about reigniting connection in marriage. Mark and Elena had been married for nearly 25 years when their youngest moved out. For years, their conversations revolved around logistics, school drop-offs, soccer games, homework help. Once the house was quiet, they looked at each other and realized it had been a long time since they had talked about them. At first, the silence between them was uncomfortable. Dinner felt strange without the kids filling the table with chatter. Elena worried their marriage might falter without children as the buffer. But instead of avoiding it, they leaned into the discomfort. They made a pact. One small date a week, even if it was just going out for coffee. It started simple, but within months they were taking weekend trips, trying new restaurants, and even signing up for a ballroom dance class. Elena joked that they were way more adventurous now than they were in their 20s. And research backs this up. Many couples do report higher marital satisfaction once kids leave. For Mark and Elena, the empty nest became less about loss and more about rediscovering each other. And finally, our third story is about finding purpose through mentorship. For Renee, the transition hit especially hard because she had been a stay-at-home parent for over 2 decades. When her youngest left for college, she felt like her job description had disappeared overnight. She described it as, quote, being laid off from the career of motherhood. After weeks of feeling purposeless, she began volunteering at a local community center. What started as a few hours of tutoring high school students turned into a full-blown passion project. The teenagers she worked with often reminded her of her own kids, and she loved offering guidance and encouragement. Within a year, she launched a mentorship program that paired retired adults with students needing extra support. She said, "It gave me the sense of purpose I thought I'd lost forever." So not only did she feel fulfilled, but her kids admired her for stepping into this new role, which strengthened their relationship. These examples show that while the emptiness transition is difficult, growth often comes on the other side. As we wrap up, if you take away 3 key things today, let them be this. 1. Permission to feel. Let grief, loss, pride, relief all coexist. They're part of the landscape. 2. Sense of purpose. This isn't an ending, but a chance to reimagine what matters to you. Invest in your identity, goals, and relationships. 3. Take action. Small steps matter. New routines, new interests, open communication, self-care. Over time, they add up. Thank you for spending this time with me today on Emptiness Era. Embracing this stage doesn't mean you won't miss what was. It means you get to decide what comes next. If something from today's episode resonated, or if you have stories you want to share, I'd love to hear them. Until next time, as always, take a deep breath, be gentle with yourself, and be open to the possibilities this new chapter holds. If you're feeling sad or uncertain right now, I will hold the faith for you. Wishing peace and love to you all. Thanks for joining me for this episode of the Empty Nest Era. If today's conversation resonated with you, don't forget to follow, share, and leave a review. It helps other empty nesters find this supportive space. Until next time, take a deep breath, trust your journey, and remember, this is your time now. Finally, I want to note that this podcast is for education only and is not a replacement for therapy. I suggest you seek out the help of a trained professional for help with your specific situation if needed. Thank you.